I think it's totally fine to not love every part of being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes you a bad mom for like not feeling like you should be grateful that like I
Mm-hmm.
am grateful I have a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And do I miss going on my late night snack runs? 100%.
See, that's just it. Is there's a lot of things where two thoughts can coincide and can coexist,
Yeah.
right?
And I like probably wouldn't reverse it. You know, like I
No.
wouldn't trade my kid to get my snack runs back, but I can
Yes.
still miss them and be annoyed about it. Controversial mom opinions and go.
Rapid fire. Being a mom isn't my whole identity and doesn't have to be a reason to lose personal ambitions or goals.
Dads don't babysit, they parent.
You're not a bad mom if you don't enjoy playing with your kids.
I don't have to be grateful for every sacrifice I make.
Just because I'm the mom doesn't mean I'm the default parent for everything.
Feeding kids organic only is overhyped and unrealistic.
We said it.
Okay, Sarah, let's break some of these down, really deep dive into each one of these points.
Yeah, first one on the list, I think a lot of people are going to relate to this, is that being a mom isn't my whole identity and doesn't have to be a reason to lose personal ambitions or goals. And I think the audience might be a little bit split because it's a little bit of an old-fashioned, well, maybe I shouldn't say old-fashioned, but it's a little bit more of a traditional mindset to think that once I'm a mom, that is who I am, and that's where all my attention is focused. And a lot of people might love that and think that that is like their purpose, which is totally fine. For me, I didn't feel like that was who I was going to be. And in fact, when I became pregnant, there was a lot of time in therapy that I spent talking about this because I almost viewed it as more of a negative life sentence, which is kind of unfortunate to say because I do love being a mom and I saw a lot of joy in motherhood from my mom and my grandma and lots of people that I know. But myself personally, I knew that there were a lot of different aspects to myself that bring fulfillment that I didn't want to lose when I became a mom. And I kind of innately knew that to be the most like vibrant, present person I could be as a mother, I needed to incorporate aspects of, you know, my personal goals and ambitions and creativity that were outside of motherhood to be able to have just like a really balanced motherhood. And so yeah, this is going to be a little bit divided because I think it's a bit of maybe a newer way of thinking. I think traditionally it was, okay, you're a mom or you become a working parent. And there was a lot of negativity around, okay, if you're a mother and you choose to work outside of the home, then you are by default putting your family to the wayside. And so that kind of like mindset can sometimes drift off into, you know, your ambitions and goals. And so it can become a negative thing. It's like if you have ambitions and goals, you're going to be putting off your family and all these really positive aspects of parenthood and family life. Whereas I think personally, it can really help to expand on it. And that's what I want to focus on in my parenthood. And especially in this podcast is kind of open up that, that possibility that those things can add value to your parenthood.
100%. I definitely relate to that as well. Around the 6-month postpartum mark, I really started to get like twitchy because I felt like all I was doing was taking care of my son and trying my best to keep on top of the house and not really even feeling like I was doing that very well.
Yeah. It starts to feel like Groundhog Day a little bit.
And I remember having a conversation with Omari just saying like, look, like I'm going crazy not having anything that feels like it's like just for me. You know, like I was like totally missing like so many different facets of my identity. Part of this for me too, I feel like was also not feeling identified with old parts of my identity.
Ooh, can you expand on that a little bit? Like, what does that mean?
So during these conversations where I'd be telling Omari, like, I don't really feel like I have anything for myself. like, you are still playing men's league football, which is great. Like,
yeah.
I'm glad you have that outlet. But, like, I kind of feel envious of that because I don't feel like I have a thing that's my thing. And he kept on saying, like, why don't you go back to dancing? Like, go back to the dance company you were with, blah, blah, blah. I was like, but I just don't feel like I want to do that.
It's not the same anymore.
No. And, like, I just didn't feel like that, like, going back to that, I don't think would have filled me up the way I was, like, craving to be filled up, you know? Like, it just didn't feel like that was something that, like, I was strongly identifying with anymore.
Right.
But I also didn't have something to, like, replace that with yet, you know? And so, like, being, quote unquote, stuck at home with my kid all day, I think for Omari, it was like, well, she's not working. Like, she doesn't have the stress of going to work. Like, she just kind of gets to, like, relax with our kid all day. Which, yeah, it was great at first, but, like, you can only do that for so long before you're like, and what? And then what, you know? So, yeah, I agree. Like, I don't think being a mom, for me anyways, can't be my whole identity because the couple months I was not in a great place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, especially that transition from you're focusing on yourself by yourself to now you focus your attention on a little person 24/7.
Yeah.
Even when it's a break, like let's say nap times or like your partner has your child, you're still like on shift. Like you're still thinking about the things that have to be done.
Yeah.
You're still your attention is taken by that person. And so it's definitely not the same.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use that to segue into the next opinion, which is dads don't babysit, they parent.
Preach.
Because I feel like, I mean, we've finally got to a place in our relationship now where this is more balanced.
Good.
But at first, I think...
Did it take a while?
It took a few conversations about like, no, this isn't... And I don't think Omari was always very clear, like, he was a parent.
That's great.
Yeah, it is great. But, like, I think where I'm coming from with this is, like, having to request time off of baby duty. Because if nothing's in the calendar, it's just kind of assumed that I have Arden.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yep.
And so this kind of having to, like, ask somebody else to watch him was a weird hurdle for us, you know, at first. And yeah, it's interesting. I've even had, like a friend of mine, we were making plans or whatever, and she's like, oh, is Omari babysitting Arden? And I was like, dude.
Do not use that word.
Don't, like, Omari is his father. Like, he is not, you know?
Yeah.
So now it's gotten to the point where I just am like, no, I'm doing this and you have him. And if you can't have him, you figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's been working and it makes me feel a lot less like I'm always carrying the load.
Even the mental load, like what you're saying. Okay, so now if you're going to be taking care of the kid, but you can't, if there's something else, then you figure out how we're going to navigate the situation. Yeah. And that's taking the mental load off of you of having to figure out all the ins and outs.
Yeah. And I think a big part of that for me anyways was going back to work part-time, you know? So there's like set times each week where I'm not available. Yeah. And I don't really have a ton of flexibility with that. Yeah. You know, like you have to be home at 4 so I can get to work for 4:30. Sorry. Take it up with my boss. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. So, great. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was one time, it was one of the first times that I'd gone to the gym back where I used to work. And I ran into this lady and she's like, oh my gosh, it's great to see you. But who's with the baby? With very clear concern. And I was like, she's with her father, my husband.
He's very capable. He loves her very much.
I'm literally here for like an hour. And it was at that point that I think I kind of realized motherhood's a little bit political.
Oh, right?
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay. So people have their expectations that I should be at home or that I should be, you know, X, Y, and Z. And that there's nobody else really involved unless I ask for them to be involved.
Yes.
Like, okay, so now we're approaching this like weird cultural shift where that expectation is still there, but the realities are that I think a lot of moms now, and maybe this is just the circles that I'm in, but I think a lot of moms now are expecting more out of their partners, and it's like a non-negotiable. Like kind of what you're saying. Yep. The partner is aware that they're a parent, but there's now more conversations where it's like, okay, I'm glad that you're aware that you're an equal partner in this, but this is what you need to do so that I can have my time and that we are working on this together and you're not taking my presence almost for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think women definitely have more of a voice now than they did 60 years ago.
100%.
Like,
even 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's been quite drastic, I think, in the last, 15 to 20 years.
Yeah. Because even, never mind. I'm going to move on from that thought.
Yeah, I'll move on. So the next controversial opinion I have, Maddie, is one that actually was groundbreaking to me pre-baby, where I'd heard it from another friend, and I was like, that makes motherhood sound a lot better to me. And it's that you're not a bad mom if you don't enjoy playing with your kids. And so this was earth-shattering to me because I grew up as the oldest sibling of a large family. I have 5 younger siblings.
Yeah.
And so being around kids was not new to me. But as I got older, I kind of realized it wasn't like a kid's kid. You know? I just like, I'm not the first person that will jump into the ring and say, I'm going to play Legos with you, or I'm going to like rough and tumble, or we're going to put on a play. Unfortunately, that's not just who I am. Maybe it will be me in the future, but pre-baby especially, I was like, oh crap, like I don't want to become a mom because then that's my day.
Right.
Like it's either I'm like cooking and cleaning, being a slave to the household, or I'm the kids' plaything. Like I'm encouraging play and have to be there all the time.
Yeah.
So when I was talking to a friend, she's amazing. She's got 3 kids now, I think, 3 or 4. And her husband run a business, a couple different businesses, which in itself is amazing and inspiring. And I love that. But she said, I've never loved being involved in playtime all the time. And so I've established routines where they have their own playtime. And if they come and ask, I say, okay, no, I'm going to suggest that you can do this and this and this. I'm going to be doing this. And
so like setting boundaries.
Kind of setting some boundaries that, no, you can play with yourselves and like try to use your imagination. I'll help you.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be on the floor with you during this period of time.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was like, okay, so like almost like very adult conversations, which in itself was a very new concept to me, that you could like communicate with your kids. That this wasn't something that you're going to be doing with them all the time. But also her second thing that she did was, and this is like maybe not for everybody, but I thought this was an interesting option if in the future it was a financial opportunity for us, was to hire somebody like a nanny a couple times a week or once a week or what have you, to take the kids out or have the nanny come and play with your kids while you go do X, Y, and Z that are necessary. So like whether you go grocery shopping or you go even go to the gym, like spend some time with yourself, go with your partner, you know, take care of household tasks, whatever it is that you have on your plate that will help them to just like be able to still engage like playtime, but it's not on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting concept to me because again, like I'd never thought about like hiring out.
That. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It was just an option that just, again, it was not for everybody, but it kind of just it brought into my mind that motherhood isn't a one size fits all. Like it's not going to look the same for everybody. Yeah. And so I think that's back to the point, which is like, you're not a bad mom if your motherhood looks differently to your kids than it does for another mom and her kids. Because, hey, I have a pretty good feeling that my sister is going to be a great playtime friend with her kids. Like, I think she's just that kind of personality. And that's great. I think they're going to thrive in that. And if not, that's fine too.
Yeah. See, I feel like I'm definitely more the I don't know. I'm more the parent who would get in there and play with her kid.
That's great.
You know? And like and like the opposite is interesting for me. I mean, I also agree that like the thought is crossed my mind, like it would be kind of nice to have somebody come in once a week and entertain my child while I cook and clean, or hire somebody to come in once a week and cook and clean while I play with my child, you know?
Or okay, that's a good point. Like having the roles reversed, where like you want to have that focused time with your kid and you want somebody else to kind of take care of other things. Yeah. But let's bring this back because you just brought a connection to my mind, which is we go to the gym and leave our kids at childminding for an hour or two. Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. Or if I wanted to take your child for 3 hours on a Sunday and you could go shopping by yourself.
Do a little switcheroo.
Yeah, do a switcheroo.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And you don't have to feel bad for that.
No, because sometimes you just need a break.
Yes. Yeah.
But also, I like high-key super love playing with my kid. Like, it's actually, like, when I'm in the mood for it, love it.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like 7:30 in the morning and he's been in bed with us since 5, kicking me in the back.
Yeah.
And then he starts like blowing on my belly because that's like his new thing is to blow raspberries on my belly all the time. I'm not really in the mood for it.
You're like,
you know?
Please give me some space.
But like, I don't know. We go to the like play structures and stuff sometimes, and like, I kind of think it's hilarious running through those things with him.
Totally. Well, and I think that's it. Is there's a bit of a balance, right? It's like you can both enjoy playing with your kids and not enjoy playing with your kids all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's where the balance was for me. Is I was thinking that I was going to have to enjoy it all the time. And that I was going to be a bad mom if I didn't.
Okay. Arden's gotten to the point, though, where, and I don't know if you relate to this, but like some of his favorite things to play are the most annoying things ever. So he was always yelling at me when I was spraying down the counters in the kitchen that he wanted the spray bottle.
Yeah.
And my sister had a spray bottle with water in it and showed him how to spray it, and he loved it, thought it was hilarious.
Oh, no.
So then I was like, well, I'm going to have to go get a spray bottle. Well, I didn't have to, but I thought, it'd be kind of fun if I went and got a spray bottle.
He clearly enjoyed it.
That, like, he can help mommy clean. No, it's his absolute favorite toy, but he runs around and he thinks it's funny to spray people with it. And then, like, he'll spray just, like, the wall. And there's, like, water running down my wall. And so I've been trying to teach him that when he's using the spray bottle, he has to carry the rag and clean up after himself, which he does, like, 10% of the time. Because he's 17 months old. Yeah. Like, that's the level of his capacity.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, yo, why did I get him the spray bottle? Like, this is so annoying to me. So now I have to hide the spray bottle.
Mm-hmm. And then if he sees it, it's automatically toy.
Then he sees game over.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing. Omari bought him a bubble gun, a little it's like a little gun and it blows bubbles out of it for like $3 at Walmart.
Low-key super
Loves
fun.
it. Yeah, super fun. Yeah. But it's an outside toy because when he plays with it in the house, it gets all over the hardwood and then he slips on it.
Yeah.
And then he cries about it. And then like,
there's where you have to teach like the spray bottle and the bubble gun all together. Oh no.
Yeah, and also, what are the other annoying things he does that I'm like, why do you love playing this so much? This is so annoying to mommy. Yeah.
There's a laundry list of things.
The diffuser.
Oh, no.
He has learned now how to, like, fill the diffuser. So he'll, like, crawl up on his little, like, learning tower thing in the kitchen, and he'll yell and point at the diffuser, and then he'll yell and point at the little cup to fill it up, and then he yells and points at the, like, essential oil thing, and then he like
toddler
he'll like pour the water into the diffuser and he'll like pretend to add the oil, and then he'll like put the lid on top and he'll push the button to turn it on, and then he'll like lift up the lid and put it down and lift up the lid and put it, and then there's water. And my kid just loves water.
This kid loves water, yeah.
And it drives me high-key crazy.
Yes. Because that's one thing that it's like you have to clean up once it's spilled.
Yeah, because otherwise it wrecks the floor.
Yes. And it's a hazard, like you said. Slipping toddlers is no fun.
Anyways, love playing with my kid. Side tangent into like annoying play games that I thought would be fun that aren't.
No, sometimes there's a limit. There's a limit to the fun.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your next controversial opinion, Maddie?
I don't have to be grateful for every sacrifice I make.
Expand, please.
Yeah, so I just think that sometimes it's okay to be annoyed that I don't get to go out when I want to go out. And I get to be annoyed about that.
Mm-hmm.
Because having a kid means that you now have to ask permission to go do things.
Mm-hmm.
Like date night. Like if me and Omari both want to go out somewhere together, somebody has to watch our child.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? And like, I really miss going for late night snack runs to Walmart at 9:30 at night just because we wanted to go do that.
Yeah, you're speaking to myself.
Or like going to get bubble tea at midnight because we wanted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't gone on a bubble tea run at midnight since like I was pregnant.
Yeah. I know. I literally was thinking about that last night. I was like, man, I'm really craving McDonald's. It was just me and Poppy at home. And I was like,
skip the dish.
Skip the dishes is what happened.
Pay somebody $7 to bring it to me.
Yeah.
Double the price of my burger.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, this is not the play.
Yeah. And so I think it's totally fine to not love every part of being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's super fine.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes you a bad mom for like not feeling like you should be grateful that like I am grateful I have a kid, and Do I miss going on my late night snack runs? 100%.
See, that's just it. Is there's a lot of things where two thoughts can coincide and can coexist.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like probably wouldn't reverse it. You know, like
No.
I wouldn't trade my kid to get my snack runs back, but I
Yes.
can still miss them and be annoyed about it.
See, and that's funny because I feel like when people hear moms complain about pretty much anything, they feel the need to say something along those lines of like, you're going to miss this, or feel grateful because it's such a wonderful experience, or like, would you get rid of your kid? Like, duh, no. I'm not going to get rid of my kid because I miss going to Tim's at midnight. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do.
But I can still miss it.
100%.
Yeah.
I think, that is something people will say. It's like when you're kind of in the thick of like, oh, my baby's not sleeping through the night, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes people will say like, oh, you'll miss this when it's over. And like, I agree because that part is almost over for me. And there are days where I'm like, oh, I do kind of miss like just it being me and him at 2:30 in the morning, even though I was exhausted and didn't always love that while it was happening. Like, I'm like, oh, I do miss when my baby was so little. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Even though now I like enjoy when he can walk by himself while I carry the groceries in from the car.
Yeah.
That's so nice.
The next level of parenthood hasn't been unlocked for both of us, and I'm just like...
It's so great. I'm like, oh yeah, I can carry stuff in both my hands and you can walk. Great. Yeah. Awesome.
And I can tell you to take your coat off. You know how to do that.
Yeah, and do I miss sometimes carrying my little baby? Yeah, 100%. Yes. But in the moment, I don't ever feel like somebody telling me, oh, you'll miss this when it's over was always a super helpful thing to say back there. But yeah. Yeah.
I have a friend, bless her, she's got a journal. This is... like life-changing. Everybody should implement this right now. Get a journal, write down the things that you wish somebody would remember about early childhood parenting, such as don't tell early moms that they're going to miss this when they're tired, or don't tell moms that they should be grateful for X, Y, and Z, or remember to bring your newly postpartum neighbor a snack. You know, like little things that you wish people would remember. Or are shocked that people don't remember.
Yeah, right.
And she calls it her grandma journal.
I love that.
It's like so things that you will forget when you're a grandma, but should remember. Yeah. For people who are like in the thick of it.
Yeah. Okay, going back.
Yeah.
What's your next point?
Okay, my next point, my final point, is just because I'm the mom doesn't mean I'm the default parent for everything. So this kind of goes back to my story where that old lady, she wasn't even that old, I will say. Like... maybe early 40s. So again, I thought she'd remember what it was like. But very clearly concerned that I'd left my child somewhere. And that, I don't know, that it was like on me to make that decision solely of who I was going to leave my child with, or like if my child was left with somebody responsible. That person having been my child's father and my partner, my spouse. And I feel like this is something I'm probably going to see more often, like as we go into like the school system or like more structured programs. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, if your child like hits their head at school or like is in trouble or something, I feel like traditionally it's the mom is getting called more often than not. Yeah. And it's interesting because then there's also this crossover of almost like a hierarchy of hierarchy of roles, right? It's like, oh, mom is in charge of everything to do with home and household and kids because that's what she does. And the father, let's not bother the father because he obviously has work and that's way more important, you know? And so right now, I think really focusing on like that balanced parenthood of yes, work is important, but that doesn't mean that the father isn't going to be involved. And again, talking from personal experience, is that I know that my partner knows what size of clothing my daughter needs, knows what kind of food she should be eating, knows how to prepare snacks so that they're baby friendly, like safe. Yeah. What time she should be napping, how much, you know, da-da-da-da-da. Because I'm not the only one that's in charge of her. And I think it's kind of become like a joke, especially on social media. It's kind of a bit of like father bashing sometimes of just the reality of like the dad or husband, whatever, not knowing basic to-dos with their kids. Yeah. And that irked me so much so, as a pregnant lady. I was like, no, this is not going to be our reality. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm just going to speak to the other side of it for a little bit because this is a conversation Mari and I have had kind of about like the roles of the default parent kind of conversation.
Yes.
And so, like, the other side of it would be Omari's been the default parent for income earning the whole year. Because, like, I literally had $0 coming in from an income because I wasn't working.
Right.
And so, like, I think as a father, that was weighing on his shoulders. Wasn't weighing on my shoulder. I just trusted that he got it, you know?
Totally.
And he did. And, like, that was his default role for the year, you know? Whereas, like, my default... And, like, I also think, like, probably for the first 9 months, I think Omari wasn't really sure how to, like, when Arden's upset, Arden wanted a boob. When Arden wanted to go to bed, Arden wanted a boob. Like, Arden was just so attached to me for those first 9 months that I don't really think Omari really understood, like, how to, like, engage with him. Because he kind of just, like, the baby isn't, like, I don't know if... You know what I'm trying to say?
I do, yeah. It's
and then, like,
how
kind
can
of
I be more involved when the baby only wants mom?
Yeah,
sort of
whereas, like, now, like, I was at work and Omari sent me a Snapchat of him and Arden, and Omari's trying to fix the vacuum cleaner. And Omari's, like, trying to unscrew the vacuum cleaner, and Arden has his little, like, toy plastic drill there, and he's, like, beside Dad, like, trying to, like, unscrew the vacuum.
Yeah.
You know? Cute. And so now they have, like, their dynamic that's their dynamic, and it's hilarious and cute and whatever. And so, like, I think now that Arden's a bit older and... Like, he's kind of talking, but he mostly just babbles. But, like, he tries to communicate now, you know? Like, I do think that Omari feels a lot more confident, I think, stepping into those things.
Yes.
You know? Yeah. Whereas, so, like, now I feel like that default role has kind of, like, swung more back into a balance.
Yeah.
A little bit now that I'm, like, back working part-time. And, like, I do have a little bit of money coming in. So, like... You feel like... the way the bills are split, I was, like, adjusted a little bit, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, like, that was kind of, like, what Omari had just said is, like, as a dad, and you're not working, and you're responsible for this human, I'm responsible for ensuring that you guys, like, ensuring that you have a container to do that with it. You know?
Yeah, and that's a really valuable point that you bring up, and I appreciate that. Because I think in this searching for balanced partnership... is that something that maybe isn't talked about and maybe can get minimized, is that financially we need somebody to provide for basic necessities.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that can look different for each family, and I don't necessarily think it needs to fall within, like, the traditional gender roles of, like, mom and dad or whatever. Like, I think you, as a family unit, can discuss what that looks like for you. But I do think just acknowledging, like, for me in my situation, like, it was like, initially I was like, I'm so frustrated. I feel like I'm the default parent for everything, blah, blah, blah. And I think that was, like, Omari's point was, like, yeah, you're the default parent for this stuff right now, but it's not always going to be that way.
Time in the season. Yeah.
And right now I'm the one that's, like, holding all of this space for you to, like, go through this, you know?
Yes.
Which for us, like, that's...
Good on him.
That's what worked, you know?
Yes.
And, like, I think just being able to, like, have those open conversations with each other was really beneficial for us. And I was more than one conversation also.
Yeah.
And I just, like, want to make that, like, really clear, too, that, like, sometimes when you're, like, trying to navigate a new situation, like, just having one conversation about it probably isn't going to change things.
No, especially when there's so many moving parts.
Yeah.
And, like, this, like you're saying, the seasons continue to evolve.
Yeah.
Like, newborn baby stage is going to look different than early toddler stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I appreciate that. So true. It's going to look different all the time. And, like, what I really appreciate what you brought up earlier about what default parent looks like. I haven't looked into this, but I would like to. There's like a card deck almost that is I think it's called Fair Play. It's like it's how to determine, like, who's going to do what roles within the household. So, like, even down to, like, what gets cleaned when and how. And so it just, like, it helps to instigate those conversations. And I think that's valuable because a lot of the time people are just stuck as, like, where do we go from this? Because both people are coming from different backgrounds where their expectations are different. And so if you need a little bit of help, there's lots of resources to kind of help just with, like, some really basic questions or, you know, something physical, like a card deck that will help you to figure out what works best for your individual situations. And so I think communication at the end of the day is the biggest thing for sure.
Yeah, communication is key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your last
Oh, my last point is this is kind of a funny one. Feeding kids organic only is overhyped and unrealistic. So I definitely have in my cupboard a bunch of those, like they're silicone, like refillable squeezy pouches.
Yes, I do too.
And I think I've used them twice. But pre-baby, I had it in my head that I was not going to buy the squeeze packs from the store, and I was only going to make my own squeeze packs. I was going to puree my own applesauce.
It's so simple.
It's so, yeah. No.
Yeah.
My kid loves Go-Go Squeeze.
Amen. We got such a massive Costco-sized box.
And I mean, I actually, I don't know 100% if those are organic or not, but like the ingredients in them are pretty low.
Yeah.
And yeah, I am an advocate that you should feed your child a healthy, balanced meal whenever is possible. And we've had days where I'm like, here's a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
You know
what you gotta do sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think
expectations are everything.
How does that saying go? A fed baby is a healthy baby or something like that. I don't know.
I've only ever heard fed is best.
Fed is best.
Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah, fed is best.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I do feed Arden a healthy, balanced nutrition meal most days. Mm-hmm. But to do it every day and to do it organic all the time is just not.
Yeah. Do you feel like...
Well, it doesn't work for us anyways.
No. Well, and again, maybe back to our prior point, which is like there's a time and a season.
Yeah.
Because I think... and tell me if this is the same for you, but I think social media played a huge role in that, like expectations.
Totally.
Like, okay, if you're going to be a stay-at-home mom, you're going to have more time to be able to create like all these homemade, balanced meals, everything from scratch, because your child deserves that. Yep. And I was like, yes, of course.
Of course. Yeah, I watched a bunch of like baby-led weaning videos on YouTube.
Yes, those are huge.
They were really helpful.
Great,
but I definitely went into this like with an expectation that I was going to meal prep for my kid all the time, and I definitely don't.
Well, and we've tried that. There was one time. Let's tell our audience about this one time. We went in with great expectations. We said, okay, we're going to split the groceries. You and I are going to bring our kids. We're going to spend a whole afternoon and meal prep certain meals and some snacks.
That was great, though.
It worked, but is that like, at least for that season, I couldn't see that working for us long term.
Not long term.
Because we are now in a season where Poppy is 13 months old. And tell me why she's already a picky eater.
No.
It's starting. And I've tried everything to make it not so. This girl will see a green thing and automatically drop it off to the side. And it's even happening with things that she used to like. Chicken.
Oh, no.
Like basic things that go into our meals.
Oh, no.
And so I'm kind of going into this new... expectation of like, okay, I can try to make a bunch of these beautiful homemade meals or snacks, but I'm going to have to roll with the punches. And sometimes fed is best. We're out in the middle of grocery shopping and she hasn't eaten because she refused everything I've provided her. Go squeeze it is. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Poppy.
Yeah, Arden straight up threw a cucumber in my face the other day. But didn't just throw it. He like took the slice and like ripped it into little bits and then threw all the bits at my face.
It starts to feel personal. It's like,
I was like, and then he laughed about it, and I was like, I don't know how to handle this because you're still like too young to understand consequence of me punishing you like the way I can't be like, go to your room.
Yeah, it's like you're trying to bring your brain back.
Oh,
like, he's not trying to manipulate me. I'm not triggered. I'm not triggered.
Yeah, that's actually why this show is called Smashed Oranges. It's because he did this with oranges too. And I was like, Sarah, how about we call it Smashed Oranges? Because this is my parenting today.
Literally. And it happens all the time where you try to give them something that they clearly enjoy.
Yeah, and you just like finger paints with it. You're like, great. He does like grandma's cooking though. That's awesome.
Well, grandma's invited to come over more.
Yeah, loves Amari's mom's chicken. Loves my mom's chicken soup.
Oh, that's lovely.
Will you eat my soups? No.
Mom made this?
Absolutely I don't
not.
think so.
But you know what? Again, you just have to roll with it because expectations that you put on yourself, sometimes they're just going to be set up for failure.
Grocery shopping with him is also interesting because he like The other day we were at the farmer's market and he just pulled over like the entire display of raspberries because he wanted the
berries.
raspberries. Berries, 100%.
And are berries cheap, Maddie?
Nope.
No, berries are not cheap. Tell me why that's all my child wants to eat is berries.
And like yelling at me that he wants these raspberries. Did I buy them? Yes, because he was hungry. It was probably time for him to eat anyways. Like he was probably hungry, but like he doesn't understand you have to pay for stuff first.
Yes,
of course. He's like yelling at me to give him these berries.
He's like, there's a whole freaking stand, Mom. What the heck?
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah. And there's a whole lot more. There's a lot of things that we've determined through our parenthood already that, again, somewhat political. Who knew? But we would love to hear some of your controversial opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like these weren't even that controversial. So if you've got some like real spicy ones, please add those to the show notes.
Yeah, in the
comments.
comments.
Add those in the comments.
And then, like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube. I think you can follow us on anywhere you get your podcasts. Every subscriber really helps us just build this community and make it something that is really exciting and will keep us bringing fresh content to you guys and maybe some other surprises down the road.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today, guys. Take care.